Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. We got some really exciting, massive news for patch 9.1.5. We even know when can we test everything over on the PTR. But the sheer amount of updates and things coming to the patch that are yet to be tested, so we don't really know what the final form is going to look like, there's a ton going on. Talk about quality of life changes. A ton of them. In fact, so many changes that players have asked since kind of the beginning of Shadowlands beta and even alpha. Today I want to take a look at all these changes, as there were some customization options added in the future and a lot of different systems being improved. And then next week we'll actually be able to jump on PTR and test a majority of these things out. So let's take a look at the blue post and everything that's coming out in patch 9.1 so far. Starting off from the top, we have some major Covenant updates. First of all, players who reach maximum renown for the Covenant will be able to freely switch among any of the 4 Covenants without cooldown or restriction. Cosmetic rewards, including pets and mounts that have been earned from that Covenant, will thereafter be available regardless of your membership in a different one. Covenant switching and the use of cosmetic rewards will also apply to any alternative characters once a renown threshold is reached on that one character. This is huge because this is essentially Covenant switching. We don't know in what form it'll look like, and we don't really know how much renown do you need before you unlock Covenant switching, but this means we'll finally be able to freely swap around Covenants on our characters. Next, conduit entry is being removed, and conduits will be freely swappable without any restrictions. Hopefully that means you could swap conduits away from the Forge of Bonds, like in an inn or maybe when you're changing talents in a raid with one of your tomes. While not everybody switched around the conduit energy didn't really offer any meaningful gameplay, so I think a lot of us can agree it's a good thing that it's going away. Next, completing a Covenant campaign as one character will allow alternative characters the ability to skip the same Covenant campaign, earning a renown and a 3rd soulbind unlock immediately without needing to replay the full narrative arc. This is huge because whether you have alts, whether you have mains, or if you switched around Covenants on any of those characters in recent time, having to replay the same Covenant campaign has never really been super enjoyable, so it's good that they're allowing you a skip for any characters that have already done one of the campaigns. Now, these are the things that I've actually have been asked by the community since the early alpha and beta of Shadowlands, and they actually have a blue post explaining as some of the reasons as to why these changes are coming now instead of back then. I think it's a good idea to thoroughly read it, and I'll have a link down in the description if you guys do want to read the full deal. But the long story short is, you guys were right, we were wrong. Yes, some of the system you guys told us in the early alpha, yeah, they don't actually contribute to anything. The Covenant changes and how we interact with the game now would make more sense with these changes rather than with how we are currently playing the game. The way I look at it is, these are good changes. At least, these are the first good changes we got to read. Good changes for the game are good, and I will take good changes no matter what. If this means a further good direction for WoW, I think it's a good thing. We'll have to see in the future how things pan out, but if it changes good, it changes good. And this is a change for the better, definitely. Although I'm not gonna blame any of you that are feeling annoyed, that are feeling the "I told you so." If you were some of the people telling them these changes are gonna have to happen, if you were telling all that stuff back in the alpha and back in the beta. Next we got character customizations, even more stuff for the Lightforged and the Nightborn. We have female Lightforged and male Nightborn to take a look at. Quickly, before we dive into the females, the male Lightforged do have some extra. We have different haircuts, different horns, different hair colors, different beards, so we're actually getting quite a bit for the males. But it's easy to see that they really put in a lot of customizations for the female models as well. Different types of horns, different types of hair color, different types of hair options, tail lengths just like the normal Draenei with the short, medium, and long, and all those extra ornamented pieces as well. It's also worth noting, just like the males, females have different skin options, and also they have more horn options as well. Overall, it looks like Lightforged are actually getting quite a bit of treatment. I don't really see a lot of Lightforged out in the world, and I don't really know a lot of people that do play Lightforged, but potentially in the future we could see more players picking up Lightforged and going back in Legion to unlock them, because some of these customizations look fantastic. Then for the male Nightborn, as someone who actually plays one of the blue boys, we got metal beards, we got actual facial hair, different haircut options, looks like different haircut colors, as well as the skin options just like the females. As for tattoos, it's really difficult to tell if there's anything new because their tattoos do reflect with the light, so they need a specific angle for you to be able to see them. And just like female Nightborn, the males also have different eyebrows. You have the normal pointy ones that kind of stretch outwards. You have very short, thin that stretch kind of upwards, not too far past their ears. And then you have really short ones that are just kind of there and look more natural rather than like the high fantasy elf look. Combined with all the metal bits on their faces, from the forehead pieces, the pieces around the eyes, the chin pieces, and it looks like there's even different colors for those metals as well. It looks like quite a lot of customizations to play with. For both Lightforged Draenei and the Nightborn, I'm actually pretty excited. It looks like both of the allied races are getting a lot of different customization options, and they look absolutely fantastic. Cannot wait to hop on PTR whenever they will be added and then take a look at them in more detail to really show off how some of these pieces look and how will they fit our characters, maybe combining some of the new customizations with some of the older ones as well. Besides that, we have shorter ears for Void Elves for both males and females, which are just exactly the same ear options as Blood Elves, so nothing super new. And then there's also the natural hair options for Void Elves, very similar to what the Blood Elves have, basically minus all that voidy blue-purple stuff. Outside of this, we have a plethora of other updates and major content bits. This isn't a major content patch, but with just the raw number of things coming out in 9.1.5, it looks like and feels like a massive update. Starting off with introduced Legion Time Walking. Delve back into Legion dungeons with Legion Time Walking and take on the challenges within, including access to Legion Mythic Plus dungeons. This event will run for 2 weeks the first time it runs within the game, and then will resume a regular 1-week schedule on for subsequent bonus events. Legion Mythic Plus dungeons. In Legion, this is where the Mythic Plus system even came to be. I am very excited to see what Legion and Mythic Pluses are going to look like. I doubt that the gear from M Pluses is going to be anything that you'll want to bring as a best in slot for the current raid tier or future raid tiers, but it does seem really cool and makes me wonder what kind of rewards are we going to have. Is the Mythic Plus system going to use some of the affixes of the older expansion? That'll be also very interesting to see how that kind of content scales upwards. I'm actually really excited because Mythic Pluses were super enjoyable in Legion. A lot of the dungeons were really fun, and the nostalgia of revisiting them, plus also depends what kind of rewards we're going to get, could be very interesting. Then we also have Maw introduction that's going to be skippable. A lot of players have asked for it, and players who have completed the introduction in the Maw on one character will finally be able to speak to High Lord Darren Morgraine, let him know that, hey, I've done this already, let me go ahead and just get into Shadowlands. We talked about this before, but Island Expeditions, solo queue, or with a party is going to be an option if you want to farm up some of the mounts and cosmetics and toys and pets. In Island Expeditions, you'll be able to do that from Battle for Azeroth, solo for either normal, heroic, or mythic, or with friends if you choose so. Of course, we have talent and ability improvements, nothing specific, but in 9.1.5, we're working on additional updates to a variety of class talents and class abilities, including Covenants, Rune Carving, which are legendaries, and Covenant class ability tuning. This is good. Quite a lot of people are excited to see what kind of class updates we're going to get in the future. Maybe any kind of class improvements for specs that are not performing as well. Maybe even overhauls and massive changes, because 0.5 patches generally tend to do some sort of big and small updates. Sometimes small updates that make a big wave and change in terms of how certain specs perform and play. Last time we had a 0.5 patch, it brought Assassination Rogues from irrelevant spot to one of the stronger melee DPS in the game in generally. So a lot of changes could come out of this, and I'm very excited to see what we'll have to take a look at once the PTR is available. Allied Race Unlocks. It looks like for Coterans, Mechanomes, and Dark Iron Dwarves, they had certain dungeon requirements behind them, and now you no longer have to do those dungeons in order to unlock these allied races, so players will be able to skip it instead. Great for any of you Alliance players that haven't unlocked Coterans, Mechanomes, or Dark Iron Dwarves. Additional travel points in the Maw. Players will be able to take advantage of additional travel point options from Venari Refuge to Perdition Hold and Desmotarian within the Maw by unlocking access to them. This is good because there's quite a lot of movement around the Maw as well as in Korthia. Korthia is a fairly small place and you can generally get around with it on a mount, while the Maw is quite large. And a lot of players would love to be able to fly through Maw and Korthia just to be able to get from A to B faster, but since the Maw and Korthia are part of that content where they want you to stay grounded, adding extra flight points I think is a good change, especially if it allows players to get to the raid a little bit quicker with one of those flight points. Remote Anima turn-ins. Completing quests for Archivist Raw Sur will provide access to Anima Diverter within Korthia, where Anima can be directly deposited. This is great because Korthia is full of Anima, and there's way too much of it. And what you have to do once you're full of Anima is go back to your Covenant Sanctum, then turn it in. Allowing players, even from Korthia, to at least be able to fill up their Anima bar from Korthia, just to empty their bags, to make sure nothing is in there, is nice and definitely going to be a welcome change. Transmogrification linking. This one was interesting. Show off your complete transmog outfits to chat or online by easily sharing a link to it from the dressing room. Players will be able to mouse over these items to see how they can be collected, if they already collected in the appearance, or if it's an appearance that is accessible to the character viewing it. Transmogrification system and customization WoW has definitely been growing for quite a while. With every single expansion, they seem to add more and more things that we can do. In patch 9.1, they let us transmog 2 shoulders separately. So each shoulder could be different, or you could only have one shoulder transmog while your other shoulder laid bare. These transmog updates I think are going to be useful for a lot of players because if anything, players definitely love their transmogs. A lot of players' pastime is to go diving into older dungeons, older raids, and collecting the looks from a variety of different content. Being able to share some of your personalized looks for different characters is something I think a lot of people are going to appreciate. Alt level improvements, 3 words that I think fit so well together. A variety of improvements will be introduced in support of smoother experience leveling alternate characters through Shadowlands, such as an additional rank of heirloom upgrades, so this is good, and improvements to Thread of Fates, such as addition of Torghast as an option and renown gains for completing bonus objectives. Being able to catch up with your character with renown while you're leveling, I think would be really nice, especially while you're just earning XP on the side, or collecting some of the much needed soul ash for max level, and also doing something different than just the same dungeons and the same quests all over again. Anything to add a little bit of variety of gameplay when it comes to leveling a fresh new character in Shadowlands, I think is a good change. So we'll see how these changes will pan out once they're available on PTR testing. PvP power gear adjustments. A lot of you guys that are more casual at PvP will be happy to hear this one. Lower item level PvP gear will now scale to a higher item level in PvP situations than before. This should reduce the power level gap so that new characters can feel that they're able to compete in battlegrounds and arenas more readily. This change will not affect high item level PvP gear. So I think they're talking about is Conquest gear versus Honor gear to try to make Honor gear more competitive for PvP. So a player that doesn't want to dive into RBGs and rated arenas and get super sweaty on the ladder in LFG, for those players to actually be able to dive into any kind of battleground casual content and at least stand toe to toe to some extent with some of the gladiator arena players. I am interested to see what item level gains that will look like, and overall what kind of item levels are we looking at for the Honor and Conquest gear. I think this one I need to see for myself before we really make a judgment call, but I'm interested to see what this lower item level PvP gear scaling will look like in patch 9.1. Rune carving recipes will now drop at 100% rate from dungeons, which is never a bad deal, especially as someone who's a new character trying to get their best in slot legendaries. If they drop from certain bosses, farming that dungeon or heroic and normal can be quite tedious. Now, if only they could do for some of the legendaries that are available from Castle Nothria, as that is the last tier's content, and I don't know how many players really run that to this day. Battle for Azeroth Legacy Loot Rules. Legacy Loot Rules will be enabled for players at level 60 in all Battle for Azeroth raids and dungeons, causing encounters to drop the number of items as they would randomly drop for a 5-player dungeon party or a 20-player raid, which I guess for any of you that are still farming transmogs from the last tier to hopefully be able to get more loot and more opportunities at the transmogs that you're looking forward to. Now, we don't know if this is the final list, but this is at least a starter. And in 9.1.5, it seems like there's going to be a lot of changes down the pipeline. I'm very excited to see some of them. My favorite ones are going to be PvP gear adjustments. I am interested to see how competitive Honor gear might be going forward. Alt leveling improvements, just what kind of things are they going to do? Are they going to do more than just changing Threads of Fate, World Quests, and Torghast? Are they going to add other ways for you to earn experience in the game? Also, very excited to see for the class changes. I think that's going to be pretty fundamental in terms of how our class is going forward and also shifting the meta. Plus, the Mythic Pluses for Legion, I cannot wait. I played a ton of Legion. Mythic Pluses were super enjoyable. I didn't get into them at first until a friend of mine really showed me the ropes, how to do some of these dungeons, and ran with a bunch of friends at higher level, and then I was able to pug them all by myself. Super enjoyable content. Cannot wait what dungeons will be available and how the whole Mythic Plus Legion system will look like, scaled to our current content. And of course, customizations. Who doesn't want to check them out? We'll be definitely covering everything in this video when the PTR is available, but until then, we're just gonna have to be patient. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video with everything that we have right now coming out for patch 9.1.5. Let me know what was your favorite part. What are you most excited for? Class changes, PvP adjustments, customizations, anything else in between. Let me know in the comments below everything you're excited for. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more updates for 9.1.5 and you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff helps out. If you guys want to ever chit chat with me, Discord is probably the best place. I have a link down below for the channel Discord. You guys are more than welcome to join, become part of the community. But thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed. You let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.